Hey friends, it's Mary Giordano, and welcome to Unapologetically Wild. Every single day, you have a choice. You can stay where you are, or you can step into the possibility of something even greater. And I'm here to spark that flame within you and inspire you to show up, embrace the fear, and do the fucking thing. Messy, scared, and real. Let's get started. Hey friends, welcome back to Unapologetically Wild. Before we dive in, I have some really exciting news. Thanks to all of the amazing feedback from the first two episodes, I've decided to start posting weekly instead of every other week. Woo woo! So from now on, you can tune in every single Tuesday for a brand new episode of Unapologetically Wild. All right, let's get into today's episode. I want to start off by asking you a question. Do you ever feel like you're living the same day on repeat? A real-life version of Groundhog Day. Remember that movie? You wake up, you go through the same motions, same coffee or tea, same scroll, same routines. You talk to the same people, you have the same thoughts, and then you do it all over again the next day and the day after that. It's not bad, but if you were to be honest with yourself and with me, it's not exactly great either. You're busy. You're constantly doing all the things. You're checking all the boxes, but somehow it still feels like nothing is actually moving forward. And then every once in a while, it hits you like a ton of bricks. That unsettling sense of feeling stuck. You start wondering to yourself, is this really it? Is this all there is to this life of mine? Is there anything more out there? And maybe you even start questioning what you could do differently. Maybe you try to shake things up a bit. You add a new habit, or you start a new project, or you decide to set a new goal, but nothing really changes. The newness fades, the momentum dies, and before you know it, you are right back smack dab where you started. And that cycle, it repeats itself over and over and over again. And then you try to comfort yourself by making it seem like it's all okay and telling yourself that you should be grateful. Life, it's not that bad. You have a job, a home, people who care about you, but deep down inside, there is this nagging feeling that something is missing. It's like you're waiting for anything to pull you out of this rut, but nothing ever does. And the longer you sit in it, the more stuck you feel. And then that little tiny voice of doubt creeps in. You know the one that says, what if I'm too old for change? What if I missed my chance? What if this is just how life is supposed to be? It starts to feel like you're pressing the gas and the brake at the exact same time, revving the engine, but never really going anywhere. Here's the truth. You are not stuck. You're just afraid of what might happen if you take that foot off the brake. Are you feeling me here? Are you nodding your head yes? Because I'm going to tell you something. You're not alone. Because change, it's uncomfortable, it's uncertain, and sometimes it's fucking terrifying. So instead of making a move, you hesitate, you rationalize, you make up excuses, you blame external circumstances, and you sit back and you wait. And the longer you wait, the deeper you sink, because feeling stuck, it's like standing in quicksand. The more you hesitate, the more you get pulled under. If you keep telling yourself, I don't know what to do, it's not the right time, you're only going to sink deeper. And the way out, it's not waiting for motivation to strike. It's not searching for the perfect plan or some guaranteed outcome. It's movement. One step, one shift, one action. This will give you the proof that you're not actually trapped, because feeling stuck, it's not a dead end. It's a signal. It's your mind's way of saying, hey, something's got to fucking change here. It's your internal compass pointing to a deeper truth that you are, in fact, ready for more. Now, the question is, are you willing to listen, and do you want it badly enough to take that first step? Stick with me, because in this episode, I'm going to help you break out of that stuck feeling. We're going to talk about why this happens, how your brain and nervous system actually play a role in keeping you stuck, and most importantly, what you can do to shift it. And no, I'm not going to just go tell you to take action. I'm going to give you actual tangible ways to create movement, even if you feel like you've been spinning your wheels forever. And if anyone knows what spinning your wheels and feeling stuck is like, it's me, because back in 2019, I was a nurse going through the motions, clocking in, clocking out, moving through my days on pure autopilot. On paper, I had everything I thought I wanted: a stable job, a good paycheck, solid benefits. But inside, I felt completely unaligned from the life I actually wanted. I wasn't growing. I wasn't inspired. I was drinking way more than I should have been. And I was surrounding myself with people who were not headed where I wanted to go. And no matter what I tried, vacations, new hobbies, new challenges, the restless, gut-punching feeling would not go away. But one day, I was free writing in my journal, trying to put words to what I was experiencing, and I wrote something that stopped me in my tracks. If I don't change my life will never change. Now, I know that sounds so simple, but it hit me hard because deep down, I knew exactly what I wanted. I wanted adventure. I wanted freedom. I wanted to wake up excited about my life, not just going through the motions day after day after day. That's why I moved to Colorado in the first place. It's why I spent every free moment hiking, exploring, doing things that made me feel alive. And the funny part is for years, I had been manifesting an RV, daydreaming about what it would be like to travel more, to create a life where I wasn't constantly waiting for my days off to feel free. Yet there I was, watching time pass, feeling stuck in a life that did not feel like mine. I was frustrated, I was irritated, and I wanted out. And then it hit me. The only way to create the life I wanted was to quit my job. Now, to most of you, that probably sounds kind of extreme because it is. But it was the first idea that actually made me feel something other than stuck. And then came that little voice of doubt in my head. Is this even realistic? Am I just dreaming? Am I being delulu? Because quitting a stable nursing career to chase adventure, that felt reckless, but also so fucking exciting. I had butterflies in my stomach just thinking about it. And that's when I knew this had to happen. Because staying, that wasn't security. It was slowly draining whatever life I still had left in me. And in that moment, I realized the only thing scarier than taking the leap was staying exactly where I was. So I made the decision. I was going to quit my job and just figure it out. No roadmap, no safety net, just pure belief that I'd make it work. My plan? I wanted to get certified as a health coach, stay in my job through the holidays, give myself some time to put things in motion, and then quit after my trip to Mexico in March of 2020. I'm sure you can sense where this is going. In the meantime, I started making shifts. Right after Christmas in 2019, I completely quit drinking alcohol. I went fully plant-based overnight after watching a couple of documentaries that absolutely changed my life. I even bought a Peloton bike that was set to arrive by the end of January, which, looking back, could not have been better timing. Well, the holidays passed, I went to Mexico, had a fabulous time, and then we all know what happened in March of 2020. The entire world shut down, except for nurses and other essential workers. I still could have left. No one was forcing me to stay. And if I had, I would have avoided being a nurse during COVID. But when things got uncertain, I did what most people do. I convinced myself to wait. I said, this isn't the right time. I can't leave my team. Things will get better soon. I'll just wait it out a few months. This won't last long. Months passed. I finished my coaching certification. I started posting more on social media. I was doing something. But deep down, I knew I was just procrastinating the inevitable because the truth was, staying in the familiar, even when I knew it wasn't what I wanted, still felt safer than the unknown. Maybe you felt that too, knowing something isn't right for you, but staying anyway. because at least it's known, at least it's predictable. And here's the wild part. Even though being an RN supervisor in a COVID clinic during a global pandemic sucked the ever-loving life out of me, physically, emotionally, mentally, I still stayed. I was exhausted, drained in every way possible, and if there was ever a time to say, screw this and walk away, that was it. But I didn't. And that feeling, that restless, gut-punching, this isn't it feeling, it wasn't going anywhere. And you know how it goes. You can push those feelings down as much as you want, pretend like they're not there, but they linger. They eat you up inside until they can't be pushed down anymore and everything explodes. The only thing keeping me from completely unraveling was I was still taking care of myself. I was alcohol-free, 100% plant-based, meditating every day, journaling, moving my body. Those things, they weren't just routines. They were lifelines. They gave me something solid to hold on to when everything else felt like it was slipping through my fingers. And honestly, if I could make it through a global pandemic as a nurse, completely sober, I felt like I could get through anything. What I didn't realize at the time was that those habits, they weren't just keeping me afloat. They were slowly grounding me and pulling me out of survival mode. And trust me, you're going to want to hear this because it's probably exactly what's keeping you stuck too. November came and I was finally clear-minded enough to make the decision to leave. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I could actually trust myself. And that's what I want you to understand. Feeling stuck, it's an illusion. You're not actually stuck. You just haven't moved yet. And the moment you do, that's when everything starts to shift. Because movement, real movement, is what creates change. But there's a catch. Not all movement actually moves you forward. That's why you can feel completely stuck, but then book a trip, sign up for a race, or start something new and suddenly feel alive again, like things are finally shifting. And for a little while, it works. You feel re-energized, like you're finally doing something. But there's a difference between taking aligned action, moves that actually create change, and chasing the next high to temporarily escape the discomfort of where you are. Because the high, it always fades. The trip ends, the race is over, the novelty wears off. And suddenly, just like I mentioned earlier, you end up right back where you started, waiting for the next thing to pull you out again. But why does this keep happening? Why do we keep chasing the next thing only to end up in the same cycle? We're going to get into exactly why this happens soon, because there's a reason your brain keeps you in this loop. This is what I didn't realize until later. The reason I could finally trust myself, the reason I knew it was time, wasn't just because I had thought about it long enough. It was because I was no longer stuck in this chronic state of survival mode. And here's what most people don't recognize. Many people spend far more time in fight, flight, or freeze than they think. Maybe not in a full-blown panic mode, but their body is still locked in this low-grade state of stress, constantly overanalyzing, procrastinating, avoiding decisions, or just feeling completely numb. And when you're stuck in that cycle, your body is just trying to get you through the damn day, and your mind, it's not focused on growth or expansion. It's stuck in protection mode, clinging to what feels familiar. It's not thinking about your vision board collecting dust in the closet, the goals you jotted down on January 1st, or the new meditation practice you've done a handful of times. It just wants to keep you safe. And safe does not mean happy. It means predictable and familiar. This is exactly why so many people feel stuck. Because when your body is in fight or flight, your brain isn't searching for possibilities. It's scanning for threats. It clings to what's known, even if that known is making you miserable. And this is where so many people get it wrong. They think clarity comes first, that One day, they're just going to wake up knowing exactly what to do, and they believe that will be enough to make them move. But in reality, clarity alone, it's not the starting point. It's what happens once you're already in motion. And that's exactly what happened with me. The habits I held on to, the meditation, the movement, the journaling, staying sober, they weren't just keeping me sane. They were slowly shifting my nervous system out of survival mode. They didn't suddenly give me all the answers, but over time, they got me to a place where I felt grounded and I could actually see clearly and trust myself enough to take the next step, even if it was messy, uncertain, and uncomfortable. So before we go any further, I want you to take a second and ask yourself, how have you been responding to that stuck feeling? Do you feel like you're pushing harder and harder, forcing your way through resistance, overworking yourself, but never actually making progress? Like, no matter how much effort you put in, it never feels like enough? That's fight. Or are you constantly jumping from one thing to the next, keeping yourself busy, distracted, and overcommitted so you never have to sit still with your thoughts? Maybe you're filling your schedule, tweaking your routines, or always looking for the next new thing to chase. That's flight. Or do you feel stuck in overthinking mode, caught in analysis paralysis, where you keep gathering information, weighing options, but never actually making a move? Or maybe you check out completely, doom scrolling, binge watching, numbing out instead of dealing with what's right in front of you. That's freeze. If any of these sound familiar, it's not just in your head. Your brain and body have been wired to respond this way. And even when you start to feel more grounded, that wiring doesn't just disappear overnight. And that's where dopamine comes in. Our brains are wired for two things that are constantly at odds with each other. One, safety and survival. This is controlled by the amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for fight, flight, or freeze. It's wired to keep you safe, which often means keeping you in the familiar, even if the familiar is what's keeping you stuck. This is what we just spoke about. And two, seeking and anticipation. This is controlled by the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that lights up when you imagine new possibilities, you set big goals, or chase something really exciting. It's what pushes you to seek growth, novelty, and change. And this push-pull between safety and possibility, that's where dopamine fuels the cycle. Dopamine is what gives you that rush of excitement when you set that new goal, plan a big change, or imagine your future self. But here's the tricky part. Dopamine isn't about fulfillment, it's about pursuit. But let me be clear, dopamine isn't the enemy. It's actually what makes you excited about possibilities and gives you the drive to take action. The key is learning how to channel it into real momentum instead of just chasing the next high. That's why the days leading up to a vacation feel more exciting than the vacation itself. The idea of a fresh start feels thrilling, but the follow-through, not so much. Or you get hyped about a new habit or routine, but after a few weeks, the motivation fades. Your brain isn't obsessed with results, it's obsessed with the chase. Dopamine is an anticipatory chemical. It spikes during the anticipation of things. When you're imagining your future self, counting down the days to that big vacation, or visualizing how great this new idea will be. But once that initial high fades, you're already looking for the next hit. And it's so easy to mistake that cycle for real movement. You're doing things, you're making plans, staying busy, but if that excitement always fades and you're left searching for the next thing to chase, then it's worth asking, am I actually moving forward, or am I just keeping myself occupied? Because real fulfillment, it's not found in the highs. It's in the in-between. The way you build your days, your habits, your mindset when there's nothing exciting on the horizon. It's in how you show up for yourself when no one's watching, when there's no deadline, no big moment pushing you forward, just the small, consistent choices that shape who you're becoming. Now that you understand how your brain has been keeping you in this loop, not because you're broken or actually stuck, but because it's wired for survival and driven by dopamine, you get to decide what happens next. And you know damn well that your comfort zone isn't actually comfortable. It's just predictable and familiar. And while that feels safe, safe is not the same thing as feeling alive. And while dopamine has been keeping you chasing the feeling of progress, you're not actually making any real progress. So if you're tired of waiting for clarity, motivation, or the right moment, it's time to stop waiting and start moving. And the best way to do that, it's not by overhauling your entire life overnight. Don't worry. Instead, it's by making microshifts. A microshift is a small, deliberate action that disrupts autopilot mode and builds momentum. Think of it like a 2-minute meditation or a 5-minute stretch or a quick walk around the block. It's something so small that it's impossible to fail at. Because let's be real, showing up is actually the hardest part. And it might not seem like much in the moment, but 2 minutes of meditation or a 5-minute workout is so much more than the 0 minutes you were doing before. And once you start, you'll probably keep going because momentum isn't built through giant leaps. It's built in tiny, intentional steps. It's like nudging a domino. That first push might feel small, almost insignificant, but it sets off this major chain reaction. And before you know it, everything starts to shift. So now you're probably wondering, what's the first thing I need to do? Well, stop waiting for some giant wave of inspiration to hit. You don't need this lightning bolt aha moment to start making changes. What you need is a little bit of curiosity. So let me ask you this. When was the last time you did something just because it intrigued you? When was the last time you followed an impulse without overthinking it? When was the last time you gave yourself permission to explore something new without worrying about being good at it? If you're struggling to answer these questions, that's your sign. It is time to shake things up a bit. Because when life starts feeling like the same day on repeat, the quickest way to break the cycle isn't some massive change. It's curiosity. Curiosity is the antidote to stagnation. Curiosity is what disrupts the pattern. It's what gets you out of autopilot and opens the door to new possibilities. But here's the thing. Curiosity doesn't always come with a clear roadmap. It's about being willing to try, to explore, to follow the spark of something new, even if you don't know where it'll lead. So let's talk about what that actually looks like, both externally and internally. Because yes, trying new things and changing up routines can help, but the real magic happens when external shifts align with something much deeper inside of you. And the easiest way to start, change something, anything. It doesn't have to be big. Sometimes the smallest external shifts can create just enough movement to break the cycle and open the door to something deeper. When your environment, habits, and routines stay the same, it's no surprise that you also continue feeling the same. So let's start small. Remember those microshifts? Because even tiny external shifts, they can disrupt autopilot mode and create energy. But you have to remember, external change alone is temporary. It can spark momentum, but if you don't shift internally as well, you'll find yourself right back where you started once the novelty wears off. That's why these changes should be a stepping stone, not the whole solution. So let's get at it. Number 1, try something new, even if it's small. If life feels monotonous, inject something new into your routine, not because you need a new hobby or skill, but because new experiences shift your energy and your perspective. Sign up for a class you've always been curious about, pottery, dance, a local cooking workshop. The goal isn't to master something new, but to remind yourself what it feels like to explore, to get curious. Or you can pick up a book in a genre you've never read before, fiction, memoir, even poetry. See what it sparks in you. 2, change your environment. Sometimes the quickest way to shift your energy is by shifting the space around you. Your environment influences your thoughts, your habits, and even your motivation. Rearrange a room in your house to make it feel fresh and inspiring. Move your desk closer to a window. Swap out some photos or add something that sparks joy. Or you can plan a mini solo day trip, explore a nearby park, drive to a new town, or visit a coffee shop you've never been to. It's not about the destination. Instead, it's about breaking your usual routine. And 3, challenge your comfort zone in tiny ways. Breaking out of feeling stuck isn't about drastic moves overnight. I've said this over and over again. Instead, it's about stretching yourself in small, intentional ways that build confidence over time. If you always say no to social invites, try saying yes to one, even if you don't feel like it, even if it's just for an hour. I personally have such a hard time with this, but without fail, if I do say yes, once I get to where I'm going, I always enjoy myself. And you probably will too. And lastly, if you've been walking the same trail every weekend, the same route near your house, try a new one, even if it's a little more challenging. Tiny moments of discomfort are like compound interest. They train your brain to expect change instead of resisting it. But again, external shifts on their own aren't enough. You can keep switching things up forever, but if your internal dialogue doesn't shift, you'll always revert back to the same patterns. That's why external change must be paired with internal shifts. So let's talk about it. External changes can spark the momentum, but lasting change happens internally. It starts with how you think, how you see yourself, and how you respond to the moments in between. But before making any changes, I want you to ask yourself, how do you actually want to feel? Most people chase goals without considering this question. They make choices based on things they think they want to do or things they believe they should be doing. But when you focus on the feeling you want, whether it's energized, grounded, excited, your actions become much more intentional. You stop chasing what looks good on paper and start creating a life that feels good in reality. And part of that shift is learning to get super clear on what's already working for you. Because when you're always chasing the next thing, it's easy to overlook what's already good. That's where gratitude comes in. This isn't just about feeling thankful. It's about retraining your brain to start noticing all those little things in your life that usually go unnoticed. Each day, take a moment to jot down 3 things you appreciate. And I'm not talking about big, obvious things like I'm grateful for my house or my job or my car or my pets. We are all grateful for those things. Instead, I'm talking about the little tiny things that are actually really fucking big. Like the way your coffee tasted extra good this morning, a text from a friend that made you smile, the feeling of fresh air hitting your face when you stepped outside, the birds chirping in the morning, reminding you that spring is near. Gratitude shifts your focus, and when you change what you focus on, you change how you experience life. But gratitude is just one piece of the puzzle. It's not just about noticing what's good, it's about shifting the way you think altogether. And here's one of the most powerful shifts you can make. Start asking yourself better questions, because your brain is always searching for answers. So why not give it better prompts? Instead of asking, what do I need to fix my life? Ask, what's one small way I can bring more joy into today? Instead of, why do I feel stuck? Ask, what's one thing I can do differently right now? Instead of, what's missing in my life? Ask, what's something that excites me, even just a little? See the difference? Instead of focusing on problems, you're training your brain to look for possibilities because the way you feel about your life isn't just shaped by what you do. It's shaped by what you pay attention to and how you choose to respond. All right, let's tie this all together. So here's the real takeaway. You're not stuck. You just haven't moved yet. Feeling stuck isn't a life sentence. It's a signal, a sign that something in your life needs to shift. But waiting for clarity, for motivation, for the right moment, that's what keeps you trapped. And it's not just in your head. Your nervous system has been trying to keep you safe, keeping you in the familiar, even when the familiar isn't what you want. And dopamine, it's been keeping you chasing the next high instead of creating real momentum. But now that you see the pattern, you have the power to break it. This is where external and internal shifts come into play because you need both. External shifts like signing up for a class, switching up your routine, or taking a spontaneous trip, like one of my women's group trips info in show notes, can spark movement. They shake things up, break you out of autopilot, and remind you that change is possible. But they're temporary. The class ends, the trip is over, and if nothing shifts internally, you'll find yourself right back where you started. Internal shifts, getting clear on how you want to feel, questioning the stories that keep you stuck, and choosing to show up differently are what create lasting change. So if you're waiting for something outside of you to shake things up, it won't last. But if you start shifting the way you think, the way you respond, the way you move through your life, you're no longer stagnant. You're in motion, and motion is what gets you where you actually want to go. Because at the end of the day, it's not about waiting for the right moment. It's about choosing to live fully in this one. It's in the way you show up when no one's watching, the choices you make when the excitement fades, the small, quiet moments where you decide over and over again that you're not going to settle for autopilot. That's what creates real change. That's what actually sets you free. Thanks for tuning in today. If this episode hit home, subscribe and share it with a friend because together we can bring more women into this wild, unapologetic space. Remember, waiting until you feel ready is the fastest way to nowhere. So show up, embrace the fear, and do the fucking thing. And don't forget to subscribe to my Unapologetically Wild Chronicles. The links to the show notes. Until next time, stay wild.